Well, good Monday afternoon to everybody. We are here at Motown Crown Golf Club in Detroit, Michigan for the first 3-round simulation of the Doby's Michigan Mash. Doby's, where every pizza gets a free pair of concrete galoshes. It is a day off for me, and so why not try and do a little bit of golf stuff? Hope everybody's week is starting out okay. Some of you probably have to work. I feel bad for you. I wish you didn't. But maybe this can break up the monotony if you have a job where you're able to keep an eye on this. If not, it's not like this is, shooting people off of a 12-story building or anything like that. It's not that exciting, but it's not too bad. So we're to our 19th event of 30. If I get my mouse over here and shove it down just a little bit, you can see what's left. We have 2 majors remaining here in the Tenacious Golf Tour, which involves fictional golfers. None of the golfers that we use here are found in real life, which has its ups and downs. The ups are you really don't have a history for any of these guys other than what has happened in whatever tour you're using. And so if you're interested in trying a golf tour with fictional players, playclassic.com is the website, and it's called the PNG set. It is relatively interesting to do because, again, you don't really have any you probably can draw some preconceptions just based on the various traits and things that you'll find on the golfers' cards, but in general, we've had plenty of winners that wouldn't necessarily tell you that they're going to be big-time winners. So the downside is that if you wanted to see Tiger or Justin Leonard or Bryson DeChambeau or Justin Rose or Rory McIlroy, or you name all of the guys that Brooksy and Brooksy is Bryson, right? No, according to one fan, but you won't get any of that. But you just have to use your imagination, and so we just did what is called a reshuffle. You can see that here on this. Actually, you can't because it's a little too far over, but if I get this set up right, which it is debatable whether I will. Okay, here. If I move this over, you can see we just had this tournament here, and you see right there reshuffle. So this means that the guys who are new to the tour from the previous season, from what we call the Slacker Tour, which is the Corn Ferry or Nike Tour equivalent for ours, they came up for this particular season. This is our 3rd season. Well, they get reshuffled in terms of the priority that they get into tournaments because it's based on how they're doing point-wise. Players that are doing better points, they get a chance to continue to earn more points towards their card, and players that aren't are going to have to hope that other players that are ahead of them in the priority rank decide to take weeks off, which does happen a lot, and this is one of those weeks. If you look over here in this particular column, this is the tier for the tournaments, and C is the lowest tier on this tour. So what that means is that we have a predominance of lesser characters, lesser players on the tour for this tournament, which then allows for some more variety, allows for some guys maybe to come through that haven't come through before, and maybe give a few guys chances to either keep their cards or earn a full-fledged tour card, maybe even get their first tour victory. You never know. That's kind of what happened in Minnesota the previous week with Todd Mann getting his first tour victory at TPC Twin Cities. So here at Detroit Golf Club, we're going to get going with this. And like I said, since today is an off day for me from work, I figured, hey, what the heck? Let's go ahead and trot out the stuff that I use to do the simulations of the various things here, because I don't know, it just seems like a good thing to do. Maybe it's not. But I don't care. No, I do care. But since it is a rather do nothing day, I just got another golf game. Larry Rice, it's good to see you around here. Howdy. I got ASG golf and I played around with that, and I decided, I'm going to get this guy out because I have progress that needs to be made here at some point, and ASG golf has a little bit more meat on the bone as far as like having to do a little more processing in that than this particular game, which is History Maker Golf. So this is a procedure to help simulate tournaments called Tournament Mode. How about that? Fitting name, right? So we're going to go over here to the Michigan Mash tournament page. Here is our blank score sheet. We're not even anywhere close to ready to go for the final round here, that's what these particular shots are here, but we'll just go ahead and show you. This is a $6 million purse, par 72 course here at Motown Crown, and we've already figured out probably the cut score is going to be 141 or thereabouts. So, but we've already done I've already done this, which when I say this, you have no clue what I'm talking about, but I wanted to just show you this. This is the way that I come up with the field. This is a randomization, so this column here has random number generation between 0 and 1. It brings up a random decimal between 0 and 1. You Control V, and then you go paste values into this column, and then this column ranks in various compartments, let's say. So players 1 through 50, only a certain number of those players are going to play in this, because again, this is kind of a lower prestige tournament. And then as you get further down the list, more and more of the players will commit to playing in the tournament. So that's how I do this, just as a real brief overview. Then we have the dice rolls here. Each of these is one die. Then you combine them. There's a little way to concatenate that, and it doesn't concatenate it. It actually just takes this, multiplies by 10, adds this. That gives you that, and then I have already copied and pasted the values in here, which translates into these sheets. And I just need to paste the values in this, so that way we seed all of these piles. So and yeah, if this is definitely a game that is right. So if that's what you want to say, Larry. Yeah, so hi. My hair is awful, but see if I care. So the way this is usually played, just so that way anybody who is new to the game, each player gets a card. And if I can get the cards out here, because they're stashed away in my little storage space. For instance, here's Rance Aberley, who has shown up a lot on tour. He will not show up in this tournament. But here's one of the cards. Kind of tough to see. Legend, Bomber, Champion, Hero, Laser Soft, Semi-Chunky, and what's the other one? He's got a dynamic there, and he's Semi-Icon. So those mean various things. There's also this number here, 1A. But anyway, so each of these cards is, and also somewhere along the way I've posted how to put these into sleeves and what sleeves to buy if you want them to be a little more slickery and protected. And all that good stuff. But what this does is that it allows you, when they're cards, to do a process where you take the field, put them into a big pile, split them up into morning and afternoon like we have in the real tour. You have morning rounds and afternoon rounds, and then we split those up into piles again, 8 for the morning, 8 for the afternoon. And that's what we're going to show you here on this next screen. And then there's a process of rolling on dice. That was the stuff that I copied and pasted values for from that one screen. This one, well, let me snap back over here away from my bed head. That's what these guys are right here. So this is for the morning rounds, this is for the afternoon rounds. But what you would do is you would get these piles up there, and then you would roll on the first pile. And so maybe your first roll would be what it says right here, 12. And then, so what you would do is you'd then look at the chart, and the chart for this particular first 2 rounds, this is going to simulate Thursday and Friday all together. You're trying to figure out who makes the cut and who doesn't. 12 says, okay, we're going to draw a golfer off the top of the pile, and then we're going to flip through the rest and see who has the top tournament rating, which the tournament rating is that, you remember on rants it was 1A. 1 is better than 2 is better than 3, all the way up to 7 really in some of the cards. And then A is better than B is better than C, but 1A better than 1B, but 1C is better than 2A, right? So it's just that kind of classification. And then so we go through here, and this is my fancy way of doing these this pile type stuff, and I want to hold on. I want to try and fix this first, just so it's a little more comprehensive looking. Okay, close enough. So so the way that this happens is I've taken this randomizes these piles as well. That was I ran a macro before it runs in the background, but it takes all these guys and randomizes them. So there's no particular order for this pile here, but what we're going to do is the top guy is going to be selected to be M, which has made the cut. And so the name that comes up is Frederick Rhodes. And then so then what we do is we analyze the rest in the pile here. And we actually have 2 guys that are tied. They're both going to make it. 4B and 4B. They're better than 5A and 5B, right? So 4B, they're going to make, this guy's going to make the cut. That's Daniel Kolacek, who is getting a chance on an off week from the Corn Ferry to play in this, because there are a lot of top-notch golfers who decided not to play. And this 4B is Parker Melton. So we're going to take those 3, and we would set them aside if you're playing with cards into a pile that would be like, you just say made the cut. And I used index cards just to kind of like house those. You could find a baggie and shove them in there. You could do whatever you want. You could have a box that you put the ones that are made, and or you could put a box for the ones that miss the cut. All the rest of these guys are missing the cut, and I haven't set it up to where it shows you who missed the cut. Maybe someday I will do that, but I'm not going to code that at this point. But the next pile also is 12, and so we're going to take the top. We're going to take the one off the top of the pile, who is Prentice Bial, and then the top golfer is this 2A guy, who is Evan Aldrich. So there's a pretty big name that came in here, but hasn't been faring so well this season. But he's going to make the cut. All the rest of these guys, these 2 4As, who are they? Jurgen Bierman, Ernie McCown. They don't make it. So then we take those 2, put it on the pile, put the rest in the missed the cut pile, and we keep moving. So 2 out of that pile. Then we got 13. Which we draw the 2 off the top of the pile, Jim Zeithoff or Clive Kenny, and then we find the best of the rest, 2C, is Nick Yarlett. He makes the cut. Everybody else goes. 34, that's going to give us a different pile, which this person's going to be one of, maybe there could be more than one outstanding, but anybody who's outstanding has kind of a lifeline to almost go straight into the final groups on Sunday. It means he's played well the first 2 rounds, and it's very likely that one or more of the outstanding guys are going to be, and they're going to be in a thinner group. There's usually at most 3 or 4. Sometimes you'll get 5 or 6, but usually it's like 3 or 4 at most, and then sometimes you won't even have any, but 1 to 2 is kind of typical. So if you get 1 or 2, chances are both those guys are going to go through. But in this case, we take the draw golfer off of when we look at our chart for outstanding. So this 4B is going to be, it's Tagaki Yamasaki, so he's going to go into the outstanding group. And then we choose the top 3 remaining golfers. So 2C is next, Soren Overgaard. And then who is left? We've got a 4B right here, Gary Patel. And then we have 2 5Cs. They will be the final 2 in. And again, we take ties. So we will take both of these guys. Gage Valentine, Chip Connors. And so there's our first 4 morning rounds. And that's brought us up to a total of 13. Just switching over to that view. Let me make sure. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Maybe 14. You know why? It's because I don't have the outstanding counted, but that's 14. It'll be accounted for later. Let's move this to the right. And then we get the morning 16. We're going to draw 5 golfers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the 2A is the top that's left. So Gilberto Brennan, Joey Osborne, Lefty Meadows, Angus Ingram, Jim Visotky, and Jay Laufenberg. And just a second here. I want to make sure that I don't think I have Joel Barrera in there. And maybe Zephaniah Scott should be. I think I put him back in. But anyway, looking at my TFN. So now 14 is going to generate another outstanding. The selections ending in 4 that are odd in the teens, and 54 isn't a possibility, but 14 and 34 both generate an outstanding. But we draw 3. 1, 2, 3. So it's Marcus Simanowicz, Todd Mann, Alardo Huerta. And then the top golfer is going to be outstanding, and that's going to be this 3C guy right here, Kevin Percival. So he's going to be in there with Tagaki Yamasaki. Okay, so everyone in the 40s goes draw 1, top 4. So we're going to draw 1, and then we'll analyze the top 4 in this pile, which will be the 3B. Wyatt Sells. So Felipe Irwin was the draw golfer. Wyatt Sells, that's 1. 4B is next. Danny Gallatin, that's 2. 3 is going to be 4C. Michael Reed. And then the last one is the 5A, right here, Duke Vernon. And that's not Mike Reed, the former PGA Tour star. That's a different Michael Reed. That's why he goes by Michael. And I'm a little raspy, so I'm going to go ahead and have a drink. So we're almost to the final morning group. And we'll see what our halfway point marker is there. So 15 means we draw 4 of them out of here. So anything outside, anything in the 40s is, like I said, draw 1, top 4. The others, except for 66, which you just draw 1 outstanding, are you subtract the first number from the second number, like 15, you would subtract 1 from 5, that gives you 4. That's how many draws you get. And then the first number ends up being how many that are the top. So there's only one left, and it's this 4C. That's the top. Dalton Solomon goes with Zephaniah. There's Zephaniah. I told you I brought him back in from being injured, so that's good. Songrim Sangsorn, Freddie Moran, Cade Lyons. So that's our first, that's our mornings. And that got us to 33, which if we double that, that's 66. That's a pretty good halfway mark. We'll probably end up closer to 70, I'm assuming. But we'll see. 56 is going to be a big one. That's going to be draw 1 and top 5. So the one that's drawn is Abdiel Yusuf. And so then we're going to top the top 5. That's going to be a lot. So we're going to go 1. Tatsuo Shono. We got a 4B. That's 2. Duri Sakong. 3, 4, 5. It's Dallas Downs, Christian Canepa, Cameron Tullis. They're all 4Cs. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, wait, is that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's all we get. Right? 6 total. 34, we're going to draw 1 outstanding. So we're going to have a 3rd outstanding golfer, Romeo Stone. And then we're going to draw, we're going to take the top 3 remaining. So it's going to be 3B. That's who is going to come up there eventually. Torrey Bingen. Yanni Najima. We got a pair of Scandinavians in this. And then the 3rd one, well, we're going to get 2 more because they're tied for 5A. So Millwood and Casey Holder. Greg Millwood, Casey Holder. 56, another big pile. Big haul here. So we're going to draw 1. That's going to be the 4A, which should help somebody else because that's probably going to be one of the tops if he wasn't in the draw column. 3A, Joshua New. 4B, Tord Thorson. Couple of 4Cs, Roger Bellano, Heike Harhula, and then finally 5B right here, He Jin Tong, who just won a slacker tournament, so he may have a chance to follow up his good play if he can. He's at least made the cut here, but he should help book his return to the full-time TG Tour roles after winning the most recent Slacker Tour event. Still a long way to go in this tournament for him to even think about having a win, but it would be cool. 33, we're going to draw 3, and that's it. Anybody top is kerplunked, and so it's going to be Dustin Jimenez, Trevor Nolan, Justice Kramer. They're all in. Who misses out? 3C, Smokey Novak. Bad luck, buddy. Different pile and you're in, probably. 35 is draw 2. 1, 2. Kenneth Hahn, Walter Fox, and then we're going to go with the top 3. The 2C is Goro Morisaki. 3B is Jason Olinger. 4B, Ray Timonello. Whoop, that's wrong. He doesn't get in. 4A does. Gary Zakowski. So Tumanello is punted from this process. What are we at? 58. We're still in good shape. We have 3 left. Still, that would most probably be 15, which still gets us well under 80. So 11, and this is going to be a potential. This is going to be an injury probably of some sort. So I got to find my injury chart. Worst case scenario, I find it online, so bear with me. There you are. So 11 on the main chart says top golfer only, but we take the draw golfer and they have to withdraw from the tournament with injury. It's Cliff Pettibone. And then I'm going to do a roll you're not going to be able to see it. It's 13, so he's just going to miss this event and the next two with an undisclosed injury. He has a cold sore, probably, is what the... So I'm going to go ahead and add this to my... Not in the TFN, it's going to be over on this other injuries, so it's going to be the 20... 20 Doby's, Michigan, MASH. And it's, who did we say that was? That was Cliff Pettibone. I think he's exempt. Undisclosed 2 further weeks. So is that going to take him through a major? Let's see. Nope, through the Independence Open. So that's how we handle that. And so then the top golfer is 3C. He's going to be the only one out of this pile to make it through. It's going to be Ernest Kamalo. Caddy ran, yeah, yeah, that's right. He stepped on his foot. It was pretty painful. His caddy weighs a lot more than most golf carts, so. .46 is going to be a draw. Brian Bauer. And let's see, the top 4. 2C, Carson Rodell. There's a big name. I try not to look too much because I don't want to poison my joy of seeing who comes out and who doesn't. Kenny Service, Joey Manini, those 2 guys are 4As, and there's one more, and that will be, actually there's 2 more, it'll be 2 4Cs. Mike Keller, Olivier Ott. And then finally 34, we're going to have a big contingent of outstanding because we get one more draw for outstanding. Lautaro Vero. So we have some pretty good scores this first 2 rounds because of that. So it'll be 3A, Damasio Zizzi. These are some real back marker names, but they actually have pretty good tournament ratings. It's one of the things when you get these new sets of PNG each year or two is some brand new names come up that maybe you've never heard of before, and it's kind of like, you know, every year it seems like there's a new player that comes into the U.S. Open that's from the European Tour who's just kind of like splashing onto the scene. But so then one more top, and is it going to be? It's going to be a 6B. How about that? It's going to be a long shot. Lucas Rooney. So that gives us 69, which is actually probably closer to 73 because of the whole... I don't think these factor in our outstanding golfers either for some reason. But it will over here, and I'm going to go ahead and run a macro to sort / randomize for the 3rd round. And so now we are ready for that. And... I wish I would have fixed this. My outstanding pile isn't working quite right here at the moment, so let's take a look and see why. BF5. Oh, that's why. 110. Hang on, let me see. So 81. So 110 to 109. That should be better now. It's just my rank. I had to make some changes to things, and when I did that, it kind of I forgot to change. There's a little bit of a way that you need to take care of. I'm trying not to look at the column so I don't get spoiled. All right, good. So there's our outstanding golfers now. But when you make changes to these things and then you don't, like, you change, what I have is I have a template, and I spawn a new tournament, I make a copy of the template, and then I rename it. And then if I have problems, I will debug the tournament. Sometimes I'll forget to debug the template, and that's what I've done here. So, but anyway, now we're ready to go with the third round. Magisport, hi, things are pretty good. Well, see, it'd be more likely to not to disclose his injury if it was like it ran over something else. And I don't know why that would be on the ground to get run over, but you know, these golfers are kind of wacky people. You know, they what do they say? March to their own beat or something like that. Anyway, we're gonna do the third round here. Yeah, well, spreadsheets are a time saver, but also there are certain times where it is just nicer to do everything manual with cards, dice, and a pen and paper or something like that. You know, it's one of those things that once you kind of like jump the shark, you're kind of like committed to it, and sometimes it's okay and other times it's not. So 56, we're going to draw an A- golfer here out of this pile with this. You see 56 up there. It's Christian Canepa. He's going to be A-. Everybody else finishes with D. So this is where we do get to see the golfers who don't make it. So Jay Laufenberg does not have a good third round and is going to finish down the list a bit. So 36, top golfer gets A-. That's this 3B right here. Marcus Simanowicz. So Dave Simanowicz's brother Marcus is wait, no, it's not. It's 3A. What am I doing? I missed this. I missed the 3A. Where did he come from? So Joshua New is going to be the A-. My bad. Low golfer gets D-. Who's low? It's getting warm in here. I'm going to blame it on that. I have this heater on, and now it's starting to warm up. So we got 2 D-, Cade Lyons, Joey Osborne. Everybody else ends up with C-. Barely passing grade for the remainder, including Marcus. Sorry, Marcus. B to their own drummer. Yeah. And it might be Ringo, which could be a interesting thing. So now we go to 13, which I can't show you what this looks like, this chart. I don't. Buy the game and then you'll get a chance to see it. The draw golfer, which is this guy here, is going to get A+. So he's going to have a very good chance of being in the lead. Duke Vernon. Then and he's going to get a perk or issue. Part of the allure of this, the History Maker suite of games, History Maker Golf, History Maker Baseball, is that you have these pre-tournament or pre-final round rolls that kind of like can give somebody help or a hurt. So Duke Vernon will get something, and then the top golfer is going to end up with A- to start the final round. And actually, we have 2 3Cs. So I'm going to roll these 2 dice here, one for each of them. If it's odd, it will be yes, and they will get A-. If it's even, it's no, and they're going to end up at contending with B+. So the blue is, they're both 2, which means they're both going to end up at B+. So Yanni Najima does not get A-. He's going to get B+, as well as Bob Kleckner. So they may still end up in the final round. They're just not going to be near the top. So I guess in order to show you this one, I'm going to have to shrink this a bit and do that. So pile 4 is 24. The top golfer contends with A. And we have a couple of 3Bs. So let's see, can we get... Okay, so the blue one is a 5. So the first 3B is going to be... so it's 24. So that's going to be A. Tor Bingen. The second one right here is going to be B+ as well because he got a 6. So Wyatt Sells. And then, let's see, so 24. The rest finished with C+. Oh, and I forgot 13. Everybody else also finishes there with C+. So when this says C+, it just means that there's a correction factor to help set these guys into final scores based on where the final score should end up because you choose a target score at the beginning of the final, at the beginning of the tournament, based usually on past precedent, maybe with a little fudge factor in there. Here's a second 24, so again, that's going to be the top golfer is going to get A+ and a Perker issue. I forgot to put that on with Bingen. So 2A is going to be the top golfer. He's going to get A and a Perker issue. So that's Evan Aldrich. So he's going to be up there near the top. Should be one of the favorites. And then everybody else finishes with C+. 55. All golfers contend with B, so this pile is a wash. 26. Draw golfer contends with A-. Cameron Tullis and everybody else is going to finish with B-, so they don't even get to contend. And then the outstanding group, 56. Draw golfer A-. And of course, it's going to be Romeo Stone. And everybody else ends up at D. And so that is how this is going to shake out. So then we go to our... Alright, so what did I do here? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. So you see all these new cut rounds? Well, you see down here at... You can't see it. You puke. Here. This will help you see it. If you look down here at the bottom, I don't have anything that says new cut round. So this was a sheet name from a previous iteration of this. So I need to replace this with just cut round in order to make this work. So we need to do find and replace, and I'm going to put a apostrophe new cut, and I'm going to replace it with just apostrophe cut. Search within the formulas in that range, replace all. There, now we don't have any errors. And let's go ahead and do our perks and issues here. I got to flip this chart over. On the back side of it has the perk and issue. So if I look here, these are my dice. So these are each D6s except for that one. That's a decide or die 0 and 1. So 2 and 4. Start the round with red chips. It's going to be 3. So Duke Vernon start with, let's see. Let's just put red chips 3. And that is, since it was a 0, it's not till further notice. Now 4, you see these change kind of quickly, so you just have to make the decision before you start typing anything else in, because these will start changing. Their random number generators and spreadsheets just keep changing unless you paste them in as values. So 4, 6 is going to be, if a birdie on the first hole, sunny, otherwise it'll be stormy. So I'm going to write in here bird, sunny, other stormy. See, and there it's going to change. 2 and 2, gain stormy. And that's it for Aldrich. So there's our perks and issues. And here is how the final round is going to shape up. Duke Vernon with a one-shot lead. So there's a lot of decide or die stuff that goes on behind the scenes, which takes the rest of this turn. So when you get these piles where it's the grades, like A+, A minus, B+, and B, you then take those players and you'll roll a decide or die. And that will give each player, if the decide or die is yes, they have a lower score by 1 than anybody who doesn't get a decider that's yes. So, and you do that for each grade, and that assigns them a score, and that's what we see here on this screen. Duke Vernon will be minus 18. Aldrich and Bingen minus 17. Tied for second to start the final round. Cam Tullis, Christian Canepa, Romeo Stone, they're all 3 behind Vernon. Joshua New 4 back. Yanni Nijima 5 back. Kleckner Sells 6, and then Keller and Overgaard are base. They were in that B pile, and they are the lowest ranked in the priority that are in the. So that's why we're going to get to see a little bit of them. Although I probably won't put much of them on the channel here. I'm not going to play out the whole final round here, but that's basically how we do this. Like I said, it's kind of a day to blow off here. It's a good. As I turn off my heater because I'm getting cooked out of here. Holy mackerel. Whew. Some companies allow you to have off to commemorate Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so it's a good day to do some stuff like this, and hopefully this helps somebody. Thanks, Magisport. This is just an automated, just automating Keith's tournament mode a bit. Some of it's still manual, but you know, most of it's I'd say, yeah, I mean, a lot of it's randomized. It's just you know, there was a point in time, I think, where I realized that I was spending so much time. Let me put it back on this screen and I'll show you. Because if I come back here to this, if you look through this is, you see here, Dustin Emmerich, Shinji Kanishi. These guys are all in every tournament. Well, if I do these, even like the B tier tournaments, where you get a lesser percentage of these, you got to pull these cards out. And if you're going to start shuffling them and doing all this stuff, well, you need to have the right field together, and you've got to be sure of it. So I was taking so much time taking out the cards that aren't necessary, or instead pulling in the cards that are going to be used. And you basically end up having to sort them in priority order to make sure that you're doing, okay, here's a pile of 10, here's a pile of 10. And then you pull them all together, and then you shuffle them, and then you do it, and then you always have this thing like, man, did I do a good job shuffling? Are my dice random? And anytime you have a situation where you've got these concerns, then when you have something that's really wacky come up, like you end up with 84 golfers coming through and making the cut, you're like, man, what's going on here? Why is my tournament seem like it's bunged up? And it probably isn't. It's just everybody has their own personality type, and some people probably would just let that slide right off their back, and it's tougher for me. So kind of just kept progressing. And so I had someone comment a couple of days ago, and I have to change this because it's gotten filtered out to where it's I did respond to this person, so that's kind of why, if I can find, oh, that's why it's all on here. I responded. Fred Manson, love the way you were building and following your project. If only my, well, he said stupid. Oh, I'm sure he's not stupid. None of us are, you know, but if it was, you know, it wasn't so broken, I really would want to do the same. And it's just like, you just kind of have to start somewhere, right? I started just with wanting to have a place where I could input scores from just having stuff written out. And then it got to the point where then I added in where it's like, you know what, I'm kind of sick of writing all this stuff out. Gets a little messy. I just want to be able to like select who's going to, or like who makes which thing in the third round, like who gets which category and who misses the cut. I have ways to do that. So I got to that point. And then I got to the point where, well, it'd be nice to have a way to like input the final round. And so it was that. And then just each layer becomes more and more possible as you realize I've accomplished this, and they're just little pieces. Now one of the tough parts about all of that is as you put in the third layer, sometimes what was in the first layer gets like made obsolete or imperfect, and that's kind of where. So now I'm on like part 8, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and maybe some of 7. Like all those things have potentials for, you know, wiring to get crossed up. And so that's where it really takes several tournaments to be able to flesh this out. So let me I want to show you this here, because this is kind of the way this works. So the top 15 here, I have one of the top 15 that will get in, and the way that this happens is these numbers are pasted here, and then this ranks these 15 numbers 1 to 15 in order of, so number 1 is 0.96, so it's really high in the 0 to 1 decimal fractional spectrum, whatever you want to say, right? So one of them, and it turns out it's always going to be this last one, but number 15 in this case, so the last one, this guy is the low, but the lowest guy is the one that actually plays in this tournament. So everybody else in this, every other rank that showed up here gets ruled out. So that's why if you come over here and look, Laufenberg is the 15th rank. He's the one that gets in. So let's take it back over here and show you some more, because somebody might find this interesting. So now I go, I think, 16 to 50. 4 of those guys get to play. I've really tried to bias this in a way that it's going to give the smaller golfers, the less successful golfers, a chance here to shine, because that's kind of the way it is on tour. You get these tournaments that come in between majors and like in between Firestone or Muirfield Village or Colonial or Sawgrass. You know, you get the big prestigious tournaments, and then you've got Keene Trace and the Michigan tournament and stuff like that. And so you try to have so only these 4. So these 4 ranks here, 18, 36, 50, and 30 get to play. And so, you know, 18, 30, 36, and 50, they all play. And then outside of that, then it starts to get a little bit more and more prevalent as we get down to the bottom. And as you can see here, the further down we go, the more get involved. And usually it's just There are a couple that get ruled out because of either injury or, I do have some level of just random, maybe 5% that are just like they have a wedding to go to, or their wife's giving birth, or they had something come up on Tinder that they couldn't pass up on. I don't know. they were getting backed up. I don't know. Diarrhea. They couldn't. I don't know. That would be an undisclosed injury probably. But anyway, so that's kind of what goes on here. But so I'm going to go ahead and end up playing out, if not today, later in the week, playing out the remainder of this tournament. And I will definitely put the final 6 or 7 holes, something like that, on video. But we're at 52 minutes here, so I want to apologize for my bedhead, but today seemed like a day that didn't really feel like cleaning myself up too much. That is like something that I'd say there are probably, if I am completely healthy, which I am today, I would say maybe 5 days out of a full year, I will, like every other day, I'm dang poppy seed. I'm cleaning myself up. It's just that's the routine. I have to get ready in the morning. Like I just can't deal with it. And I usually feel crappier if I don't. And maybe that's why today I feel a little bleh, but we had some storms come through last night around here. At least they turned to rain about halfway through, so all the snow that had gotten laid out there is gone. Now, further north into Pennsylvania and points northward, I guess that's a word, there's a lot more snow. But fortunately, because we had our share of snow the last 2 weeks, like to start the year off, we had some pretty sizable amounts of accumulation, so I'm cool at the moment with just having a little bit of a washout. Now tonight it might get chilly, and if it ices over, that could be a little fun, but yeah. Well, the old Taco Bell can definitely, if you feel like you've been, speaking of accumulation, if you've been accumulating, then that will definitely melt it out of you, so to speak. But anyway, I had someone also ask me what I'm up to with tabletop baseball, and I don't know. It's not currently in my purview. I don't know. I have a tough time. I played a little bit of Out of the Park the other night, which is usually for me just playing. I just do a GM sim. I trade, I free agent, sign, I draft, I do all that stuff. Try and choose when to bring guys up. But I let it sim. I don't do any of the management stuff really in it. And so I can get through a season in probably 2.5, 3 hours. I did one of those seasons the other night, and I ended up getting fired because it was the Mets, and they, I guess, decided that I didn't. So it's funny, in Out of the Park and doing these seasons, and I know you might say, why did you choose the Mets? Well, what I like to do when I do an out of the park GM sim is I like to start and then sim for a full season. I start unemployed, sim for a full season, and then I will, and you might get offers in that time period, but I just like keep simming, and they'll withdraw the offers. But once you get to a point after that season, then I start evaluating, am I going to get any offers? And if I get an offer, if I get multiple offers, I'm going to I could do random choice. I could evaluate it and say which one is best for what I kind of want to do. And I think maybe I got the Mets. Well, anyway, I had made some trades, and we got into the 90 wins for a couple seasons, but just they kind of petered out. And that game, it can really start smacking you with some injuries. And so, but the other thing that's interesting about this game is sometimes it can seem like the owner giving you goals is just kind of like it's counterproductive for what you want to do. And I would imagine there are GMs in sports today that feel like it's something that is hurting them and potentially hurting the team. So one of the goals I had was to increase attendance, and I guess I didn't. Well, we finished. What did we finish? So this is also a sim where they brought in another expansion team into the division, into the NL East. It was the Jacksonville Horsemen. They actually won the division that year. And I think I finished 5th out of 6, but I had a winning record. And they still fired me because of that. So I may go back to that sim again. I think I'm in 2028 at this point, something like that. But I did pick up as the Diamondbacks. It just seems like that team is always looking for a GM in that game. It's really weird. Nobody seems to want to go to Phoenix, I guess. But anyway, so I carried on here for a minute. This is going to be the Michigan Mash final round. I'm going to play most of it offline, and then I'll probably live stream the rest of it at some point. I don't know if it'll be tonight. Could be. Wouldn't count on it. But anyway, so hope everybody has a good rest of your Monday. And I don't know. I did a round with ASG Golf. It was pretty fun. I'll probably do a few more rounds before I show any of it on here. There's other channels that have done this game plenty. I kind of like to get the feet wet with it first to make sure that everything is A-okay and relatively quick, and I'm not making dumb mistakes. Although that's always prone to happen. So, all right, well, have a good rest of your day. Hit like, subscribe, don't subscribe, whatever you want to do. Thanks for checking in, and have a good week. See you soon.